Welcome back, Sean here, Mountains Garage. In the last video, we put the 6-liter and the Turbo 400 in the 72 Nova, and I was pretty confident that the engine placement fore and aft and side to side was going to work. However, I had to lose the steering rack because it interfered with the block of the engine. And I could have used big block mounts and set the motor over to the right, but that's just going to make the transmission shield hit the floor more. Every time you move something, it affects something else. So I decided to go back to traditional steering with a manual box and linkage. I had brand new linkages, had to go harvest it off a subframe, and same with the steering box, and then go through the process to make sure that when I continued to build the rest of the car, this wasn't going to lay in wait and be a big surprise, an unpleasant surprise when I couldn't steer the car. All part of the process you have to go through. Early morning, once again, and I'm unbolting the steering linkage off this Nova clip that spent the entire winter inside. I push it outside and now I need parts of it. This steering linkage, as well as the rest of the suspension, is all brand new. It's been my backup plan if the rack wasn't going to work out. I traded off the manual box. I'll have to get another one of those. But I need to find out if I have enough clearance right there before I finalize my engine placement. It wouldn't be complete without stripping and painting. When I bought this subframe a couple years ago, it was all brand new, assembled, and in a storage unit. I'm the one that left it outside, so I'll take at least half the blame for the fact that the tie rod end adjusters are frozen up. But the other half of the blame goes on the guy that assembled them without Never-Seez. I did spend 5 minutes bedazzling my tank. It's nothing but a Scotch-Brite pad. You just touch it down over and over. There's no wrong way to do it. On the large surface on the front of the tank, I was able to count the turns of the wheels and make it pretty uniform. The rest is kind of random. Just try to hold it best you can. No good way to clamp it. I've always liked this look since I was a kid. Who am I kidding? Still a kid. I let the tie rods soak for about 4 hours, and with a pipe wrench and a vise, they came apart. I wire wheeled the threads, and now I Never-Seez them, and I like to start each end. And because they're right and left hand, I turn the adjuster and pull them all the way in, and then I'll paint them and put them on the car and adjust them back out where they belong. I got another delivery of junk this morning. The 4L80E 4-wheel drive with the red stripe, and the Turbo 400, an aluminum 5.3 with 799 heads, and the world's biggest clutch fan. I finally get a genuine Trailblazer engine, and the intake's missing. My buddy sold it on me. He's probably going to watch this, so he'll get a chuckle. And to cap it off, a broken 4-wheel drive 4L80E as well. This is why I don't have any space. I'm a collector of junk. Comparison of a stock steering arm and the Unisteer arm on the rack. Much shorter. I'm sure it's all engineered. One thing I do enjoy is bolting on parts for the final time with good hardware. Grade 8 flange bolts, grade 8 flange locking nuts. There's no question that these steering components are going to add up to more than the rack would have. But the reason I'm mocking it up is like anything else. When you're building a car, one thing affects something else. So I want to make sure my linkage will clear here. I'm pretty sure it will. Before I do any other mods. This turbo drain fits no problem over here. This one's going to require trimming that motor mount a little bit, but very minor. But if I find out I need to move the engine back, I won't have to do any trimming. And I'm measured for a drive shaft, but I don't want to build one until I'm sure I'm done placing the engine. So, still mocking up. I'm going to leave the weight penalty by not using the rack It's speculation in my head because I don't need a power steering pump and associated hardware, so we'll see. The manual steering box isn't very heavy, so now we're down to the difference in the weight of the linkage. I don't know. It will make an engine diaper installation a little more difficult, but not insurmountable. Can always make a belly pan. Time will tell. I need to fish the idle round bolts through the frame and have them stick out facing inboard. Good old trick. Piece of paper. Works every time. I got the steering linkage all mocked up, and it certainly looks plenty promising. I don't believe I'm going to have any issue. However, I need a steering box. I can't wait to get rid of these brake lines. They're in every picture. They're ugly. They're always in the way. They need to go. But they have fluid in them, so I'm kind of holding off. I dug around and found this, which looks like a really nice box. I know nothing about it. It came in a bunch of parts I bought, along with the pump. I wish I had remembered I had this pump when I was messing with the power steering on the 71 Nova. But I believe outside in the snow I have one more frame with a manual steering box on it for a Nova. And I'm going to go harvest that. Probably going to be some wind noise in this video, but I woke up this morning. It's 54 degrees. I'm afraid it's probably full of water, but we'll find out. I had it covered with the top, but no guarantees. Let's see if we can get her out of there. That didn't take very long. Did you ever notice if you're in a junkyard with minimal tools that things come apart easier, it seems, than if you're standing next to a toolbox with $1 million worth of tools? A little bit of cleanup in the Krylon Touch. I'll let this dry while I go eat breakfast. This is the slower of the two available manual boxes. The fast box was four turns lock to lock. This one's just a tad over 6 turns lock to lock, which should slow my steering down nicely. You want that for high speeds, in my opinion. While waiting for the paint to dry, anticipating that the steering was going to clear the oil pan, I went ahead and nipped the motor mount so I could put the drain fitting in. And this is turned all the way left. So far, so good. It clears. Now let's turn it to the right. Same story. We're good. It doesn't clear by a mile, but it's good enough. I don't anticipate running the steering box, but I had to mock it all up so I'd have peace of mind that I wasn't wasting my time. It wouldn't be much fun to build the drive shaft and all the turbo piping, cooler lines, training lines, everything, and then realize that the motor's in the wrong spot because you can't steer it. So it took some time, and of course I went ahead and cleaned everything up so it's not just a greasy pile of junk. Most of it's ready to use. Early on the agenda is to take the front suspension all apart and repair that correctly. And pull the rear end out and fix it up so it's ready to use as well. And choose a ratio. I did some checking. I have 315, 325, 350, 370, 389, and 411. I was rethinking the 315. I think it's going to load the motor too much because this motor isn't really strong enough to take that. Maybe the same story for 325, so probably 350 would be the happy ratio. Still thinking about that. I got time, a little time anyway, to figure it out. And also my rear brake choice. We'll see what I'm going to do there. I'm not sure yet myself. So now we're clear to move forward and build dry shafts and intercooler piping and down pipes and cool tailpipes, all kinds of good stuff. The engine is staying where it's at. You've probably noticed by now that most anything I build is really good used parts combined with some new parts. Not very often is everything going to be brand new. Occasionally, but seldom. That's always been where my happiness came from. Initially out of necessity because I didn't have a lot of money. That still holds true today. But until you've enjoyed the experience of a swap meet and getting a good deal and using used parts or making them new again or better than new, that's just where it's at for me. So it's getting on to be warmer weather, springtime's coming. I have a few other projects that I have parts waiting for, so we're going to be working on those too. So if the videos seem random, well, welcome to the club. Because there's lots of things to do. I'm trying to use up parts that I already have in stock. Trying to avoid buying more until I clear out a lot of stuff. And at least put it where it belongs. So thanks for watching. I appreciate you. Like, share, subscribe, all that jazz. I'll catch you soon, next time.